I heard one time that the greatest human attribute is retribution. It makes you think that, we have this kind of like superpower to make things right that aren't right, that were wrong, and it's a positive way of thinking about things. We have this opportunity to shine the brightest in the dark, kind of that concept. Welcome to the Coaching Life Podcast. My name's Pat Martin. Here's my friend, Coach Chris Stewart. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Coach Martin. How you doing?
I'm good. It's a nice rainy day here on the campus of Ohio University.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I like it.
I don't mind rain this time of year, and
no, me neither.
In fact, I want rain this time of year.
Yeah,
we're working on the ball diamond and trying to get the grass to grow, and until you get your irrigation fixed underneath the ground, you better hope for rain. You need God's irrigation.
I feel. Has the grass been growing on the field the last?
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm pleased with it.
Yeah,
we did. It was dead.
Yeah.
There for a couple weeks in August, but it bounces back pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my yard did. My yard bounced back.
My yard did too. Yeah. It's very healthy right now. So
is it long?
I kept part of it is I kept mowing it during the dry weather, hoping that it would kill it all. Right. Everyone always says, "Oh, you're going to kill your grass." I said, "I know."
Okay,
that's okay with me.
Right?
No, I actually enjoy mowing grass. It's a good time to kind of think about some things.
I do too.
Get to yourself. And
it's something that I had a friend who, when we first bought our house, we were pretty busy and we were running around taking kids from tournament to tournament and all that stuff. And so I had a friend who said, "Hey, I'll mow your yard for you." And he was a guy that was just going around doing these odd jobs in the summertime. And so I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. That's cool." And so we threw him $50 here and there to mow our yard. And then I thought, I kind of miss doing it. I like it, and so I really enjoy it. The days when I know that I've got time to do it, because I also listen to podcasts and things while I'm doing it, and so that's
it's a great time.
Good time to listen. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
definitely. I did something a lot smarter than that, Coach.
Oh yeah,
I pay somebody to do my weed eating.
Yeah. Yeah, the trimming and the edging is not as glorious.
It doesn't hit me.
It's sitting on the back of a tractor. Although I do like a good clean edge. I actually did that the other day. I put a nice clean edge around my sidewalk, leading up to our house.
Oh, nothing else looks as good without it.
Yeah. We're about to put a clean edge on the baseball field too.
There you go.
Before we throw all that dirt on, get some good stuff. And some Washington ball mix coming. That's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah.
Eastern ball diamond's going to look good this year.
I've been telling everybody it would.
Yeah.
Everyone said that it looks good this year. Like a lot of people have told me that they're impressed.
You can dress up a pig pretty nice. I mean, from a distance, you're like, wow, it looks good. Because I had someone from Waterford say that, man, this is a nice looking field in the Hocking right now. It's like, yeah, but the kids, I don't think the kids would say so that are out there playing on it, because it's hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
And the grass was a little bouncy and choppy. We got to even that out a little bit. And so we got plans.
That's what they've always played on, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, right. So anything we do is going to be, it's going to feel a little better to them, I think.
Let me make this statement. We talk about travel baseball and going and playing in nice facilities and something or things, and we went this summer and played at a few really nice facilities. I don't remember one time one of our players saying, "Boy, this is a really nice field."
Yeah,
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I did. Like I looked out when we went to Fisher Catholic. I thought Fisher Catholic was the best field. I love that field.
Yeah,
I love playing there. It looked great. It was crisp and beautiful, and I really liked it. But then North Pickerington was really nice. Mm-hmm. The flush, the real thick grass. But
the kids aren't as impressed, are they?
I don't think so. That kind of just dawned on me that
not until they get a ground ball, right. And it's like, ooh, that stayed down.
That's true.
It didn't hop at the last second.
That's true, but you're that's what I'm saying. Your players have always played on that that hard middle infield. So they're used
And there's
to it. They
something
like
about it. Yeah, there's a little home field advantage to that.
That's a
to
good
knowing
point.
how it hops and how it plays and where it's rough, where it's not, what you can expect, here and there, and
Yeah.
especially in the outfield. The outfield has its areas that are rough.
Yeah.
So, well,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, I guess if people's listening out there, I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow too. A lot.
Yeah. So while they're listening, it's probably raining. If they're listening on the day that this podcast releases, September 22nd, I think we're supposed to get rain 3 days in a row here in southeastern Ohio.
Wait, do you think that people actually wait to listen to our podcast? I just always assumed that as soon as
There are probably a few losers out there that wait. They don't just pop their head off the pillow in the morning and say, "Oh yeah, the coaching life's out today."
Actually, it drops around 2 a.m., doesn't it?
It does.
So
it does.
I would expect most of our listens to happen right
Yeah.
around 3.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can start to see. Well, I will tell you this. It's interesting because we schedule to post at 2 a.m. because it takes a little longer to get out to some platforms than others. And so the idea is we want to make sure that whatever time you get up to go to work, it's in your platform.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, like, do you use Apple Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher or whatever you use? Overcast, yeah. And I will often check when I first get up at 4:45 in the morning,
Just to make sure
just to
it's there.
see. And well, yeah, it's there. But usually when I've gotten up, there have already been 9 or 10 listens on it.
Really?
Which is a little bizarre. But
Are they from Estonia? Or
I don't. I don't know. Unless people are just getting up early in the morning and they're putting us on before Jocko. I don't know.
I mean, it's a good starter. It kind of that's like Mike and Mike leading Tony Kornheiser.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So if you're one of those people that listens to us at 5 a.m, make sure that you take a snapshot of the Coaching Life podcast header that you're, the icon, and make sure that the clock is in there and it shows 5 a.m. You've got us on that early, ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to learn, ready to just soak it in.
Reach out to us. Send that to us.
We'd
Let
like
us
to see
know.
that,
We
yeah.
want to know who our early morning listeners are.
Who's the first early morning listener? Well, you will win a Coaching Life T-shirt
Really?
whenever we get those made up.
I was going to say, I don't even have a Coaching Life t-shirt.
Hopefully we got something to talk about today, since we've been hyping ourselves here a little bit.
We've already talked about it, really. We had a conversation, as we normally do, before we started recording, and
Yeah.
the center of that conversation was strength training, was the gym.
Yeah.
And the time that we spend in the gym, and kind of the experiences that we have when we're going through this strength training journey. I think a lot of people just think they don't think about it a lot. They just think, well, you just go to the gym, you lift some weights, and you're done. But there's a lot of unique experiences that happens inside of a gym,
Right.
Especially for younger people that are growing and trying to get stronger, that have a purpose for getting stronger, and are they're doing it for a reason. Every once in a while, they come across something that maybe they didn't expect, and that is they're not able to get that last rep in, or they're not able to finish that last set with the weight that they're using. They experience something called failure.
Yeah. We talked about going to failure the other day because we had a couple kids who couldn't get the last couple reps in one of their sets, and they only got to 3 and they had to drop it.
Yep.
That was it. And I said, I'm like, yes. And they looked at me like, I failed though. Like, yes, but that's good. We know that you took your muscles
Yes.
to complete failure, which means you're going to grow.
Yep.
Now take that analogy and run with it.
That's the end of the show.
There you go.
We just finished.
Yeah. So how do you bounce back from failure? How do you respond when you fail? The weight room is just a microcosm,
Yes.
an illustration of some of the great failures that we might experience in our lives. And, what are some ways that we can really take with us today, tomorrow, the next day, whenever it comes, whenever we know that we've just failed in something? What are some ways that we can just know, okay, if I do this, this is going to help me.
Yeah.
This is going to help me respond to failure. I think sometimes you and I talk about things in a general way. So why don't we come up with some specifics that people can actually take with them and be practical with it?
We did. To piggyback off of that, I was telling somebody about our podcast from last week, and because we were having a conversation about their kid not going out and practicing as much as what they used to, and I brought up passion, and how do you get your kid to have the same amount of passion as you do? And the person was like, "Well, what was your answer, or what did you figure out?" And I said, "Well, we really didn't.
Not sure we figured it out, but we've got 50 minutes worth of conversation for you. To hopefully, somewhere in there, you're encouraged by it.
Yeah, I think perspective is important. Right off the bat, I think when people think about failure and struggle, it's a downer immediately, and it puts you in a bad mood and demotivates you, I guess you could say. But just as we talked about there, failure is actually a positive. You're going somewhere, and if you never experience failure, you're probably not growing. And that's we've talked about that before as far as competition goes. How much are you supposed to live? There's a lot of conversation out there, the 70% rule or things like that say you shouldn't be in a situation where you succeed more than 70% of the time. If you're succeeding more than 70% of the time, you're not giving yourself enough opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
So I think for me, first and foremost, it's just that perception of what exactly is failure. Failure is not going to kill you. It's not going to at least in most cases. I guess it could, in some, but even in that, depending on where you're at in your life, even those major types of failures can't ultimately destroy you, because there's some of us believe there's other places to go. So and more important things to think about. So, but I think perspective is huge right off the bat. It's how because if you have a negative sense about failure, then you're going to respond to that failure in not a great way. And as we know, response is important. But failure is a good thing. It can help us grow.
Without a doubt. One of the things that you just referred to, one of the ideas, I guess, or the concepts that you just alluded to, is a word probably from the Apostle Paul. It reminded me of the word from the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and I looked it up real quick because I think this is one of the most encouraging statements on failure, and that is, "For we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed." And I think that's, granted, he's got a lot deeper reasons there for having that perspective.
Sure.
But I think all of us, like you said, you said this before, that everyone can really take encouragement from the scriptures, whether you believe in them or not.
Absolutely.
And the reality is, the people who are the most successful in life know that it is absolutely impossible to live a life without failure.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, not have done anything at all. And in which sense you failed by default.
Yes.
And so,
right.
So anybody that's living is going to fail, and I think that the word that I get there from Paul's writing is okay, yeah, I'm getting hit hard here, but I'm still breathing. We got people are against us, or we're struck down. I got hit, but I'm not crushed. I can get back up.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, let's redefine the word failure. Let's make failure then equal to begin again.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so to look at it another way, if you have failure in your life, a positive of that is that you're recognizing it. And when you recognize that failure, you have the ability, as you just said, to begin again.
Yeah.
You can start over.
Yeah.
Right. You can start right now, taking care of what you want to take care of. You can start right now being the person that you want to be.
Right.
I think you've had that thought written and spoken in your life before. I know you've had some talks like that.
Yeah.
So it's really about an opportunity to change things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an opportunity.
And if you don't recognize it, that's a problem, right? The
Right.
fact that you know that there's failure, that lets you know you're alive.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah. Be honest. Be honest. I mean, what's one of the best ways to bounce? We want some step-by-step instructions on how to respond to failure, how to bounce back from failure. How about number one, be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, I failed here. I failed, recognize it. And then from there, when you know that you've got an area that you have failed, just completely failed in, then it's time to start picking up the pieces, because I think from there, step two would be, okay, don't beat yourself up for too long. And I think it's okay to beat yourself up,
Me too.
but not too long.
Motivates you, right?
Yes.
It motivates you.
You
to
should
get-
feel bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. It motivates you to put that plan together. To you're recognizing it, and now what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Let that pain drive you.
Yeah.
A little bit. It kind of reminds me of
feel that guilt and that shame, right? Feel it, but then forgive yourself.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Absolutely.
two sides of a coin right there,
Right.
The bad and the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
and they're both good.
and they both can be good, right? So we're talking about perspective again. It reminds me of Dakota Meyer and how his situation. I don't know if
Marine.
he's Marine got into it was a battle, and he was put in a situation where he really, honestly, it was probably a no-win situation. He probably could not succeed in what he was attempting to do.
Right.
And people will tell him it's not your fault. And,
Yeah.
and he tells them, yeah, it is.
He doesn't accept that.
He doesn't accept it.
Right. In fact, he talks about when he received the Medal of Honor, he had a really difficult time with it.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'm receiving a Medal of Honor for the biggest failure in my life. Letting, 6, 8 men die?
Right.
I mean, not just letting them die. I mean, they went back and got him. This story is an absolutely incredible story.
Crazy
If you don't
story.
listen to the Jocko podcast, listen to the Jocko podcast, episode 115. I've got it memorized.
You still remember? I was
That's
thinking
the first one I
114.
send everybody to.
It's
my
amazing.
buddy Biz Ganguly, who I grew up with. He lives up in New Jersey. He's taken his test for his black belt in jiu-jitsu this week, and he posted something on. He sent me a text because he's actually going to the Bengals game this week. I'm going to the Bengals Steelers game this weekend, by the way.
Are you really?
I am. My wife and Brock's wife bought Brock and I, well, the whole family, all of us, tickets to go for our
really?
birthdays. Yeah, it's a birthday present.
Good deal.
Yeah. Pretty excited about that.
Bengals Steelers.
But I was texting with my buddy from New Jersey, and he said he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to go too. And so he bought tickets also. So he's coming down to Pittsburgh, and hopefully we get to meet up. But anyway,
Oh, you're going to Pittsburgh.
they're playing in Pittsburgh this
I
Sunday.
got you.
Yeah,
Now that
which
you-
isn't far from Brock and Alley.
Now that you have family that are stationed in Pittsburgh or near Pittsburgh.
Yeah, an hour and a half or so below.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the plan for us. So
A good deal.
yeah. But back to my buddy Biz.
Right.
His name is Biz because his actual name is Biswadeep Ganguly. He's from India. His family's from India. He was born in New Jersey, but
I think I've heard some stories about this.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a stud, man. I loved it. He was a great mentor of mine when I was growing up, and his dad was worked in the office at AEP, and he got stationed at one of the plants the power plants down the river in Racine. And so when I was growing up in Syracuse down there, Biz was they moved in. It was wild having these because his dad BG and Ela were both from India, and then they had kids, and some of their kids were born in India. But then when they moved over to the United States, Biz was actually born in the United States.
Gotcha.
But man, they were full on Indian, and they invited us up for dinner, and that curry you could smell we lived 3 houses
man.
down from them. You could smell the curry by the moment we stepped out of the driveway to
Starting to get
walk up to
hungry
their
now.
house, and I don't like curry though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I swallowed it. I mean, because I didn't want to be rude.
Do they know
Even
that
as
you
a
don't
12,
like-
13, 14-year-old, Biz knew. He's like, just eat. He said, but here's the thing. Don't finish it. He said, this is a difference in our cultures. He said, if you finish your plate, my mom will put more on it, and you'll be expected to eat some of that. So if you're done, leave it. Like
Yeah.
if you don't want any more, leave it, and then they'll know. Okay, you're done. I'm like, okay, because we were always told, clean that plate,
Finish it.
boy. Right?
Or
That's a whole different culture.
in the land of the supersize.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't even know what point I was making there, but I got a lot of good biz stories though.
Dakota Meyer. You're saying Biz is going to get certified, or he's trained in.
Yeah, in jiu-jitsu, and we were talking this week about. I just recommended. He posted a picture of Jocko's book, Extreme
okay.
Ownership,
Yeah,
and I said, hey, if you don't listen to his podcast, you need to start. And I said, I can recommend a couple episodes for you right now. And so he said, yes, and shoot him my way. So I sent him Dakota Myers and then Travis Mills,
Yes.
who was a quadriplegic. Somebody in his unit. They ran over he practically stepped on a triple stack IED, and the fact that he lived through it is flat out miracle. But lost all of his limbs, pretty much. Some or all of all 4 limbs.
And like
And here we are talking about our failures.
yes, and and this is why, because sometimes, we've said this before. It's good to hear ourselves say it, because it forces us, or at least motivates us to live by a standard that
Sure.
to stay on topic. At least I do. I'll own up to it. I fail at quite often, but my favorite character, and I can't remember his name. I wish I could, because I'm like, this guy's so awesome. In the Travis Mills story is, because he's telling the story about how he woke up. Tough. How he woke up and he realized he didn't have his arms and legs, and he's kind of just laying there. And I can't remember what the sequence was, but ultimately an individual comes in that doesn't have maybe arms, or maybe only has one arm or something. And he asks him if he wants a drink or something like that.
Yeah.
He says, I can't open it. And he opens it and he says, I know exactly how you feel. I was there too, but you'll get through it.
Yeah.
And and that's not failure, obviously, but it's struggle, right? And it's challenge.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that sets down on us when we experience failure, especially failure of any magnitude. That we're hard on ourselves. We get down. We maybe even get depressed about things, and these types of stories and hearing these points and these topics reiterated just helps us deal with those things. And I think for Travis Mills, this guy standing in front of him that also experienced a similar injury and is telling him, I've laid in the bed that you're laying in right now, and I know all the questions and doubts and concerns and fears that's going through your head, and I'm telling you, you're going to make it through it. That image is kind of what why we do everything that we do, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else that can listen. So,
well, and his whole message, Travis Mills' entire message, because he has a book. And this is actually, I think, the title. If you look up the title of the podcast that he did with Jocko Willink, the episode that he did, I think this was the title of it. The documentary that he has, I think it's on Netflix. It's all this: never give up, never quit, never give up. And I mean, to have someone who could have easily said, "That's it." I remember, here's this. This is an amazing thing. I didn't realize this, but my cousin Daryl, who used to live up in Connecticut, and he was in the Navy, and he did a residency at Walter Reed Hospital.
okay,
And so we were talking about, and he was down visiting us one summer, and I was talking about this podcast, and I was talking about Travis Mills, and I could just see him nodding his head, and he said, "I was at Walter Reed when Travis Mills came in."
oh wow,
Yeah. He said, I never did. He was a pharmacist, so he had no direct contact with him. But he said, I remember his story.
that's awesome.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah. Just a little aside there.
Jocko's got some stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Everyone out there doesn't know about Jocko, and you're looking for a new pod. Now it's long. He's got some.
Yeah, you
some
think
long
our
episodes.
podcast episodes are long,
Yeah, you think
50
we can
minutes to
ramble.
an hour. Yeah.
Him and Echo gets it going, boy.
You get Jocko talking about sitting across the microphone with somebody, with an old war buddy. Yeah, that's well, and the Chesty Puller episodes, those are the first ones that I listened to when I discovered Jocko's podcast. It was the life of Chesty Puller, and there was no one. It was just him and Echo.
Yeah.
And he was reading the book, about the biography of Chesty Puller, who was basically, the Marine. I mean, he was the one that they name all the dog. The dog that the Marines have is always named Chesty. And named after him. But man, those are two pretty intense episodes. Very
definitely
intense.
Yeah. You see, I those long podcasts like that I listen to when I go to bed. There's no way
I
I
don't know
can.
how you can fall asleep to those.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't listen to Jocko when I fall asleep. That's it.
You got to throw some classical music on or
Yeah,
something.
there's no way I would be able to fall asleep with the Jocko podcast. I've tried before, and I'm like, no, I can't.
It motivates you. Hearing those stories motivate you for some reason. I don't know. It's just
Well, I
phenomenal.
tell you why. I think one of the main aspects of that is because we're talking about defeat. We're talking about struggle, challenge. We're talking about failure, and we're more importantly than all those things, we're talking about individuals that are overcoming that.
Yes,
And that's motivation.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of the fundamental opposition of life. As human beings, we face challenge. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
And our goal is to overcome that challenge. It's like it's the fibers of who we are. You
Right.
know? So
Right.
that's why things like that impact us so much to hear them, because it's who we are.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You said without failure, we're living a cautious life. I would almost say without failure, you're not living
You're
at
not
all.
living life. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a part of us as people, and it's not something you can escape, but it's definitely something that you can overcome and that you can use to get better at.
Another response that we can have toward failure that I think helps us to dig ourselves out of that hole a little bit is to revisit your reason why. And what I mean by that is whatever it is that you failed in, go back and revisit I'm not saying revisit why you failed. You don't have to necessarily think about why did I fail? I think that's sometimes what coaches want to do when they see kids fail. Like, okay, what did you do wrong? Right?
Yeah.
But I think one of the best ways to get people to move beyond their failure
This is good stuff.
is
right
to
here.
say, revisit the reason why you do what you do.
Yeah.
Right? Revisit why you want to achieve. Like, if a kid's going to fail in the weight room and they get discouraged because they feel like they're not growing, right? I could say, well, your form isn't good. And if your form is not good, you definitely should fix it. And that's in one place where your mechanics need to be good, it's there.
Yeah.
But, mechanics should be good no matter what, but that's not the end all. But what I'm saying is, I like to ask them the question. I'd like for them to revisit why they're in there to start with.
Yeah.
One of the things I have kids do before we begin, like in that orientation day training, before we begin strength training, is to answer a few questions. And one of the questions is, why do you want to come? Like, why do you want to be in the weight room? What's your purpose for coming in here? And I'm like, I want you to be specific. Tell me what you are hoping to accomplish by coming in here. And, if someone says, get stronger, I'm like, I give it back to them. Like, nope, be more specific. Because we know you're going to get stronger. But what do you want to do with
Why
that
do you wanna get
strength?
stronger?
Yeah. And so then they're like, okay, well, I want to hit, instead of hitting ground balls, it's just a shortstop, I want to hit line drives in the gap. Okay, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I want, when you fail, envision yourself, all right, doing that, achieving that. Because if you weren't doing anything, you're not going to achieve that.
Yeah.
The fact that you failed means that you've given yourself a chance to achieve your dream, your goal.
That's the
But if
cost.
you're not, if you're not doing anything, I'm sorry, you're not going to achieve it.
I've got so many things going through my head right now, but
Take it and run.
So a couple weeks ago, we had I'm coaching a 12U baseball team this fall, and we were down players in crazy stuff, injury, COVID, appendicitis. I'm
Gee whiz.
losing kids left and right, a bunch of different things. But we brought a younger kid up, and he wasn't being successful at the plate. He wasn't having success.
Mm-hmm.
He was striking out, ground out. I think he made contact several times, but we played two games, doubleheader, and didn't get anything going. But I was happy with his approach. I mean, he was up there cutting. He was taking swings. He wasn't taking pitches.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and of course he's not going to feel the same way about it because he wants to get a hit.
Yeah.
But for me as a coach, bringing up this kid, he did exactly what I wanted him to do. I was very happy with the way that he played. And he made a big play in the outfield too for us, but never got a hit until his last at bat. Last at bat of the day. And I just saw this kid that was down on himself, shoulders down, long face, and then he gets his hit. And it was a hit that kind of energized our team and allowed us to come back and win a game. We were down 2 runs at that point.
Wow.
He started the rally.
Yeah.
He got us going. And after when the game ended, we got our third out there. He ran off the field, and he was just so excited. And I fist bumped him, and I said, "Were those first several at bats worth that last hit?"
Yeah.
And he shakes his head. I said, that's why you.
Yeah. Remember where you were.
Yeah. Well, and I say this a lot. Like I guess it's a way to trick ourselves, but it's not a trick. You know why? Because from a faith perspective, God. We'll just take my life as an example. God blesses me. He gives me so many things, and you know what? Very seldom do I sit down and spend enough time because I'm thankful for things. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for food that I eat. I'm thankful for my house. But He gives us so much more than those big item things that we
right.
The trees are a blessing. Sidewalks. These things that were
sure. Yeah,
and
things you take for granted for sure.
Right, exactly. And I in my mind I think it's very selfish of us to think, well, I broke my collarbone, right? I broke my collarbone. I'm missing my season of football. This really stinks. My life stinks. It's selfish of us to overlook all the great things in our lives for to glorify the challenges and the struggles and the failures that we have. And for me, I've always thought there's trade-offs.
Yeah.
In your mind, if you experience failure, and this gets back to your why, what are you trading that failure for? And that's why I say that failure is a cost to something, because we're buying these things, and that's probably an awkward way to look at it. It's not really the truth, because God didn't bless me with the sidewalks in the city of Athens. He those things weren't created by His hand for me. However, I'm thankful for them. But you're not trading those things, so to speak, but there's a balance, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's good to keep in mind that I feel like for me, and I think for most people, even people that find themselves in really tough places, the balance is always in favor of the blessings.
It is.
Yeah.
And so that's actually one point that you can add that to our list here of how to bounce back from failure. Be grateful.
Yeah.
I mean, gratitude is one of the most important aspects of life. I think one of the most important character traits that a person can possess, and we all have it. That's the thing. It's not a character trait. It's because it's a choice. Mm-hmm. I choose to be thankful for things. I choose to be grateful. And I think when we start listing some of those things out loud or writing them down or in whatever way, all of a sudden those little or big failures start to lose their luster a little bit, lose their importance, I think, in our lives, in our heart and in our mind, when we start listing some of those things that we're really grateful for.
That's science.
That is science. That's biological. It's physiological science.
Because you can't be...
So you can trust it. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Of course. You can't be...
boy.
You can't be... Is it anxious? Or is it just... What is the science? If you're...
anxiety and stress. Yeah, it's physiologically, I mean, in your brain, the way the way your brain works, it is not physiologically possible. Is that the right? Neurologically,
Yes. No,
maybe?
it's physiological.
Yeah. To have stress, to be stressed and thankful at the exact same time. I mean, studies have been done on that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like the I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
the
that's what we
hormones,
mean by
the
science.
hormones that your body goes, people put those little probes on and they
look at MRIs of the brain and things like that.
And
Yeah.
it's like, that's interesting. But it's an incredible, it's a fact. It's something that you can take to the bank. You could use in your life. And your outlook on everything in your day changes when you stop thinking so much about the stressful things. Well, it's easy to say, isn't it? Stop
Very
thinking
easy.
so much about it. So what do you do in its place? Think about what. So let's make it positive. Let's start thinking about what we're grateful for, what we're thankful for, because then, and we're not. So don't even try to stop thinking about the stressful stuff. Just start thinking about what you're grateful for, because what's going to happen is those things are going to push the stress out.
Yeah.
They really will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, and it's hard to remember.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to remember
because that concept has escaped me, and I know we've talked about it before. But
Well, how many times have we talked about failure?
quite a bit.
Honestly, I mean, when you talked about what should we talk about in the podcast, I look back through, like you can do a little search in your podcast. I'm like, man, we've already talked about that 4 times. And it's actually been the title of one of our podcasts. But the reality is, it's just like the gospel. We need to hear it every week.
Yeah.
We need to hear it a lot.
Yes.
Because again, it's hard to remember.
It's hard to remember. Yep. And it's uplifting to be reminded of it.
It is.
Some of these things that we're talking about here.
You said to the kid that has that got the very last hit. There's he'd been swinging and missing, or grounding out, popping out. He hadn't had a very good day at the plate, but he got that one hit, right? So he forgets about all the others. It's just like that. He lived out in that game a statement that I will often say to a kid who's struggling during a game or whatever. A lot of times I'll say this. I'll say, hey, it only takes one swing to have a great day.
It does.
Just takes one swing to have a great day.
Absolutely.
And because you're always, that, okay, let's think about the next one. Forget about what we've done. Let's think about the next one. And that really does happen. I mean, you've seen an entire demeanor change in someone who has struck out 3 times, and their last at bat, there's a runner on second, and they lace a line drive to right center, score that run, we tie the game. All of a sudden, oh yeah, I guess I did strike out earlier in the game, and I was really upset about that, and I thought it was the end of the world.
Actually, that never happens because you don't think about it anymore.
You just don't ever think about it. Exactly.
You
It's
never
gone.
have that contemplation
It's gone.
because it's gone.
Yeah.
Those strikeouts are completely gone.
Yeah.
That's why I told him. I said that's why baseball's such a great game, because it only takes one swing to change your. I actually did tell him that.
Use that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we got? Are you keeping notes? We got like three or four points there.
Is that enough?
Is that no? I think we can come up with a few more.
What do you got?
Let's see. Let me look at my notes here. Be grateful. I have that. I had that written down. You took that. So I've got a thought here. So to bounce back or to respond to failure in a way that's going to help you turn it into a positive, what if we remind ourselves of our source of happiness? Like, find your source of happiness in what you're doing. Like, for example, just because you fail at something doesn't mean that you're not worthy to be happy about what you're doing. Like, sometimes I feel like when we fail, we feel like the lowest person in the world. Like, I don't even deserve to play this game, or I'm such a loser,
right?
Or whatever it is. And not just a game, anything in life. And you can tend to feel like I'm not even worthy to be playing this. But the reality is, a lot of times when we fail, the reason why it hurts us so bad is because we're doing something that we really love, and we're doing it with people that we love. And so the reason it hurts so bad is because of those truths. And so remind ourselves, you know what? This is really good. I mean, like, I fail in my marriage sometimes, right?
Sure.
We don't get along all the time. I mean, we have a great marriage, but there are times if you live with somebody 24/7, you're going to sometimes disagree, right?
Can't not have it.
It can't not happen, right? Otherwise, you're just not living.
That's true. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So when that happens, one of the great things to be reminded of is, you know what though, I really love this woman.
Yeah.
We really do have. We've had a great life together, and this is something that we can get through pretty easily.
And that's the fact of that is the more you get through, the stronger your bond is.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same with any type of failure. The more you overcome it, the better you are at handling it and recognizing it and avoiding it in the future. Really, failure, it's not something that we really should be afraid of or want to be afraid of, because the opportunity to fail has to come. I guess, that's what we're saying. If it doesn't come, then you're not accomplishing anything. And what is the definition of failure? What?
That's a good question.
The definition is a good question, but I never really. What is the value of failure? I guess that's what I was really thinking of. Because when you think about the game of baseball, and this is something we've talked about a lot. It's not just about the result, and failure is oftentimes tied to a result of something. It's not just about the result. It can be about result if you let it. But take this person that had a bad day at the plate. I said I was happy with the way that he hit,
right?
Because I was appreciative of his approach.
Yeah.
And when you bring a younger kid up to face older kids, one of the first things you typically see is they're shy about swinging. They don't want to swing the bat. They're nervous. They take a lot of strikes. So those are, as a coach, I was expecting, those were some of the concerns that I had when bringing this kid up, and that didn't happen. So to me, I was happy with him swinging. I was happy with his approach.
Yeah, even what he saw as failure to you was not
success.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, because
the definition is very fluid.
Yes, right. Because his approach was something that would lead to success. It did today.
And so how on earth is that failure?
Exactly.
I mean, and that's really, you bring it back to strength training. That's the whole idea of strength training. If you do something to complete muscle failure, that means you can't go any further. But if you do, the more you do that, the more success you're going to have later at lifting those heavy weights, or the more success you're going to have in anything, because your body's going to get stronger. And so you're going to be successful in whatever it is that you're seeking to do. Why? Because of all those failures.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to really redefine that word. Or look at it with a different perspective, a different lens. It's not all a negative word.
I heard one time that the greatest human attribute is retribution.
Ooh.
I think it was off of some movie, some 80s horror
Sounds
movie
like
or something like that.
Sounds like a movie quote.
But it makes you think that, we have this kind of like superpower to make things right, that aren't right, that went wrong. And it's a positive way of thinking about things. We have this opportunity to shine the brightest in the dark, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that concept.
Yeah. So find your pleasure in what you're doing, whether you fail or not. What was it? Who was it? Was it Lou Gehrig that said, "My worst day playing baseball is still better than the best day doing anything else"? Was it him?
Maybe.
It may have been in that speech that he gave when he knew he was done. He knew he was dying.
Yeah.
I think that was Lou Gehrig. I could be wrong. It sounds like something Pete Rose would say, but he's more of I'd go through hell in a gasoline suit to play this game.
Pete Rose, yeah.
But it seems like Lou Gehrig did say that, something like that. I may have botched it all up, but my worst day playing baseball was better than the best day doing anything else. Well, I don't know how his wife felt about that, but I think she knows what he meant.
Yes, and he knew what he meant, and so he's reflecting upon those moments.
Keep it in context.
Memories.
Keep it in context.
Right, absolutely. And I think that you said it a minute ago. It's perspective, and when a person is nearing that time, they have there's a I think it's Tim McGraw song, live like you're dying, yeah. And it's you have this, as a person's getting closer to that time, you're able to look back on moments in your life that were maybe seen at the time as struggles,
Right.
and realize that those weren't such bad times. They're good times, and that's perspective.
It is.
and it changes everything.
Yeah. Think about your absolute worst day doing something you love.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever that is, it's still pretty darn good. Like what was my worst day sitting on the beach? Wow. We had a day this past summer where it rained. Boy, we still were sitting beside that ocean. We still had some fun throwing the ball around and playing.
Let's see if I can.
You're
match
not
that.
a beach guy, are you?
What is my absolute worst day when my family's down on the beach? I'm in the hotel
playing Fortnite.
playing Fortnite. It doesn't hit the same with me.
No. I mean, some people don't like the beach. I love the beach.
I don't mind it. I have a.
I mean, that's what we say. I mean, on rainy days, it's like, you know what? I'd rather be here on a rainy day than back in Ohio. We're still at the beach. That's kind of our response to it in our family.
I like these rainy days right now. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the ocean, or for
We better have a respect for it.
the power of water.
No
in
one
general.
has power over the ocean.
Oh man, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And I've like movies like The Perfect Storm.
Oh, yeah.
Watching tsunami
It's
videos
phenomenal.
and things like that, or rogue wave videos. It fascinates
I'll
me.
tell you, have you ever gone deep sea fishing?
No.
It is,
would.
just to see like a 10 or 12 foot dip, like as you're going out, deeper into the sea to fish. If you're on the front of the boat and you're looking, it's like, holy crap, how far is that? I mean, how big is this wake that we're about to go down in? And then it splashes up on you.
Oh, man, my stomach's rolling right now just thinking about it.
It's like, man, and I know this isn't even big compared to what it can be like out there when the weather's bad.
Can you imagine what it was like? Because, you watch these videos and anyone can do it. You go on YouTube and just put in ships and waves or something like that. These huge, cargo ships, they're getting tossed left and right on these waves. Like, can you imagine, in the 1600s when they were
Right.
trying to navigate these waves? I can't imagine.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's amazing to me. But I have a respect for the ocean, and it's a fearful respect, and so I'm nervous when people
When the family's there
when
and
I see people in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it can be scary, like when you get caught in a riptide. I don't know if you've ever. I mean, I remember when I was I was a teenager, and you could feel them coming. And I think the thing is don't panic. I mean, if you can feel yourself not being able to move forward, like toward the shore, and like this is scary right now, But what I like whenever I haven't had that happen a lot, but when I've ever had that happen, I've just like floated. Like I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stay on the top of the water. I'm just gonna kind of swim sideways, swim sideways. Well, when I was I don't know, about 16 or 17 years old, we were at the beach, and this little kid, maybe 8 years old or so, was out there, riding waves in, things like that. And he got caught in one of those small riptides, and I could feel it too. Like I was like, oh, here we go, and he started panicking, and he started screaming and yelling. And I'm like, what in the world? And I turned around, and so I went over and grabbed him, and just started kind of saying, okay, buddy, we're just going to swim this direction. And we just swam sideways until we got out of it, and then we went to shore, and then we had to go back out and get his little bodyboard and all that. But man, his mom had tears in her eyes. She was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, yeah, that'll happen. We've been coming to the beach since I was a kid, and just the big thing is don't panic. Just let
That's the danger of it, right? Because you panic, you try to you're fighting against this.
Oh yeah,
and you're not going to win. You're not going to win.
You're not going to win.
You tire yourself
out and you drown.
Yeah,
that's how people. I mean, there was a lady that actually from Ohio University, a teacher, 6th grade teacher, I believe, who lived in Oak Island, down on the very tip of the Outer Banks.
Yep.
And she was a teacher down there. She's a grad here at Ohio University. This past April, she was killed by saving somebody in a riptide.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
Under a rip current. Yeah, the person she saved lived, but they did a real big ceremony for her and everything about how she was a hero.
Oh, wow.
That. Yeah. I didn't know about it either until I read about it. While we were at the beach. Actually, I read about that, and I thought, I had no idea that happened.
about that
And then I
either.
looked back, and Ohio University did publish something in honor of her.
Huh.
It was in one of the newspapers or something.
To close that thought there, I think that's a great approach. And when we're talking about the beach and and sunny days, but oftentimes when failure comes, we panic,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
when you're panicked, you're not in control. You don't have a plan, and it's detrimental to you and to what you're trying to accomplish. It's to your why, right? It's detrimental to your why. So to stay focused, to stay calm, and that's the first step.
Yeah.
That's what allows you to kind of develop that approach and develop the steps that you're going to take to overcome what you're experiencing.
Yeah, be practical. Do exactly what we're doing right here in this podcast episode.
Yeah.
Right? Let's be practical about it. What can I actually do?
Yeah.
What can I actually do to win? We're talking about winning here, right? And you're going to fail along the path on the journey to winning.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And be intent about it, because you make a list.
Right?
Write it down.
Yeah, hopefully you made a list. We gave about 5 or 6 things here.
Yeah, make it. I think the most important thing is you want to focus on that, on what you're going to do. You're going to focus on the response. Mm-hmm. Don't focus on what happened. Don't focus on the last pitch.
Right.
Focus on the next.
Yeah, the R factor.
Yeah.
As Brian Kite says, and Tim Kite, Urban Meyer brought him in and talked to the Ohio State football team a few years ago, but their whole thing is on that, the response factor. The R factor is the biggest factor in anything that comes to you in your life, your response. And so they have a whole set of workshops called the R factor, and we need to put more emphasis on that being the most influential thing in anything that happens in our lives, is how we respond to it. How we respond to it. Okay, this is bad. That's happening. Okay, how are you going to respond to it? Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Failure is not a bad thing.
No, I've got one more.
Okay.
I've got one more, and that is, at least that I can think of right now. Don't be afraid, just because you failed. Don't be afraid to keep dreaming big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, and I guess it goes back to Travis Mills. Don't give up. Never quit. Never give up, because no one succeeds in anything by doing things that they know they can do. Right? And so the idea is, I got a dream of doing things that I can't yet do, and the catch-22 about that is, the dichotomy is, when I do things that I know I can't do, I'm going to fail at it. But you're not going to move forward if you don't choose to do those things. So just keep dreaming big. Keep putting yourself in situations that you're not really qualified.
Yeah.
Right?
It's practice.
Yeah.
It's a type of education.
Yeah.
The Middleport Youth League hands out a scholarship every year to a student at Meigs High School that played in the Middleport Youth League.
Oh, cool. That's a really cool thing.
It is. It's awesome.
That's an underlooked, an undervalued, and underappreciated thing, I would guess. I mean,
Yeah.
do a lot of people know this happens?
Well, I mean, so
A local recreational youth baseball softball league
yeah,
is helping someone go to college every year.
yeah, yep.
That's phenomenal.
It's typically a $500 scholarship.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about it is I normally get to present it.
That's
So that's the coolest thing.
So all these people think, oh, this is the Pat Martin scholarship.
No, it's actually the Dave Boyd Middleport Youth League scholarship.
Is that right?
And it was started by one of Dave's close friends.
Man.
He
Good for Dave.
yeah. So, but the slogan of that scholarship is education is the seed to personal and spiritual growth.
Oh, wow.
I think I got that right. It's been a while. I didn't hand it out last year.
Refer back to your presenter notes.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to do it last year because of
COVID didn't let you?
So I'm hoping I get to do it again, this year. But I always relate that education back to experience. Experience is a form of education.
Yeah.
So failure is a form of experience. So we learn from our failure. We know that people know that, but it's easy for it to become cliche.
It is,
and to toss that aside to to poo poo it, but it's a invaluable part of our life.
Yeah.
And without it, we're not going anywhere.
Yep.
We should start seeing it that way.
We should.
It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to be, you said earlier, feel the guilt, feel the shame, and you should, but again,
right.
Forgive yourself.
Just don't feel it long.
Understand what you're going through, understand what happened, and then move forward.
Move forward.
It's good stuff.
It is. And I'm glad we talked about it again.
Me too.
I'm glad we talked about it again. Some things are worth repeating.
The one thing I thought about, I can't remember how many times we talked about failure, but I know on our 12 days of coaching episode list, you talked about challenge.
We had one called failure on the 12 days.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was a 5-minute, 10-minute episode, though. We did a little, like 12 days of Christmas.
No, I remember what I was it was for our Thanksgiving, our gratitude. Gratitude episode. Yeah. You said you were grateful for struggle.
For. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I actually said failure. Something I'm thankful for.
Maybe
failure.
You did, but that was
because I remember your response was like, "What? Huh? Oh, okay."
Yeah. Well, I remember I was thankful for my mom and my dad and my wife and you had all these abstract ideas. Not to remind your family of that.
Yeah, right. that they didn't come to mind when I was coming up with 10 things that I'm thankful for. No. We got to do that again so I can redeem myself. But no, hey, you know what? So looking ahead here, we've got a guest coming on for next week.
Yep.
Right? And then after that, I believe our next podcast is our 100th episode.
Right.
And I don't think that I've talked with you. Have I told you I've got an idea for this episode?
It's still a secret.
So you and I need to talk about that this afternoon.
Okay.
I've got an idea, and if you like it, we'll do it. We'll do it. It's gonna take some work, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Okay.
And so 100th episode of the Coaching Life podcast, that's monumental. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, that is. You think about it. That is. We know we've been doing it longer than 2 years, but it's 2 straight years of not missing a week. Right.
Oh, right.
I mean, but we have, we took a big long, we took a sabbatical here this summer, essentially, but still we're reaching 100 episodes. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. I like that.
I would say ESPN will probably reach out around 200.
When we get beyond 100, I think that's when we really start taking off.
Sure. Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we've made it this far, and I appreciate all of everyone that spins us up in their podcast app on a weekly basis and listens to us. And as always, we encourage you to reach out and let us know what you think, how you feel, and give us some ideas to talk about as we move forward. But yep, nice talking to everyone.
Yeah, it was a good day.